So in this video, we are going to cover the anxious attachment style and communication and how to express your needs effectively. Also, if you're enjoying the content here at PDS, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell because I put daily YouTube videos out just for you. And don't forget to stick around to the end of this video so you can really understand the major and most important third component to communicating and actually getting heard in relationships and getting your needs physically met by the people you love. So, first and foremost, one thing you really want to understand is that according to integrated attachment theory, communication is one of the six major things that you need to master in order to become securely attached. Because if we can't communicate, it's really hard to resolve problems. If we can't resolve problems, they're probably instead getting logged as resentment in your subconscious mind. And that is going to cause you to feel frustrated, upset, become more critical, and really just set off a whole series of things that are going to go against what secure attachment stands for. And in fact, one of the six major things that all securely attached individuals do quite well, so I don't mean perfectly, but quite well, is they communicate effectively. They're really good at working through and resolving problems. So when we look at anxious preoccupied in through the lens of communication and expression of needs, one of the first places that APs will get stopped, right, and really stuck is you can't communicate your needs if you don't know what they are. And for anxious preoccupied attachment styles, as a general rule, anxious preoccupied individuals, they do not do a very good job of understanding their needs. And so their way of getting to their needs or learning their needs is in a reactive format. In other words, it tends to be against the problem instead of being for the solution. And I say this with a lot of love and endearment towards anxious preoccupieds, but it's a really powerful thing to notice. Now, the core reason for this, if you are an AP, is because you probably feel like you can't take up space. You're afraid to burden people and then be, abandoned or disliked or rejected. So you probably hyper focus on everybody else's needs. And just as a byproduct of that, don't even know what your needs are or what your needs would be to feel really connected and fulfilled in a relationship. And so this is really step one. We're going to cover two other really important steps. But step one is to understand what your needs are. Now, a question you can use to ask yourself and to reflect and draw out that information is, in the situation that I feel upset about, what do I need in order to feel relief? Or in a perfect world, what would I like to see happen? And framing your interpretation of a situation this way will help you get clearer and clearer. Okay, so that's a really important step one. It also helps if you do generally know your needs. And as an anxious preoccupied, some of the really important needs that you can dive into here that you'll see are: number one, the need to feel seen, heard, understood. By the way, these are not in any particular order, but the need to feel seen, heard, and understood. And what that really means in detail is that you generally want to feel like people empathize with your perspective, understand your perspective and where you're coming from. APs also really care about validation, reassurance, approval, love, intimacy, closeness, certainty, consistency, inclusion, community. Like, these are just the major ones off the top of my head. Those are not all or only, but they tend to be quite important. So try to just sort of dig into that. Of course, you can, I know I just rattled those off really quickly. So you can go back and you can slow down the speed of the video. I see a lot of people do because I can be a little quick of a speaker sometimes. So you can slow it down if you want to and just write down those needs if that's helpful for you to just better understand yourself. And then step two is, and you can't skip step two, okay? I'm going to tell you why. And we're going to go down a rabbit hole here together for a moment as well. But what I want you to really understand is how important step two is. And I know anxious preoccupieds, because I've had many anxious preoccupied clients over the years, they tend to not like step two. But I'm going to tell you why it matters. Step two is, in order to get good at communicating your needs in relationships and receiving them and having a healthy relationship to them, you actually have to get good at meeting them yourself. The reason for this is because your subconscious mind, which is really the one running the show, right? From an integrated attachment theory point of view, we discussed a lot about the conscious mind versus subconscious mind and how the subconscious is responsible for so many of your attachment patterns. And at a subconscious level, your mind wants to maintain its comfort zone because it associates, like, the subconscious mind just wants survival. So it associates familiarity and a comfort zone with safety. It's predictable, it's safe, and thus we're more likely to survive. So, what happens, and this is actually what's super important for APs to recognize, is that what happens is if you don't learn to meet your own needs, you're keeping a comfort zone where these needs are not being met. And then when somebody does come into your life and they do meet your needs, the way I would like to think of it is if this need is a bucket. Okay. So let's say you have a need to be validated and encouraged, okay? But if you look at your internal dialogue and the way you treat yourself, you probably spend more time invalidating yourself and discouraging yourself, right? Telling yourself, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to be rejected, or do they like me? Was I likable? I don't think I was. So if you have a lot of internal dialogue against that, it's not a subconscious comfort zone. So what happens is it's like you have this need that's a bucket and somebody pours into the need from your outside world. They validate you and encourage you, and it feels so good that they're pouring into the bucket, but there's a hole in the bottom, and so it comes right out the bottom, and it's like you got this temporary feeling of gratification that somebody met a need, but nothing stays in your bucket, so you're hungering for more. And so you'll end up in this position where until you build a subconscious comfort zone around learning to develop a relationship to your own needs and meeting them yourself, think of you meeting them yourself as building in that subconscious comfort zone. And thus, you're filling the hole in the bucket. And so then when somebody meets your need, you feel ready to receive. It can land. It feels good when it lands and it lasts significantly longer. And if you notice and pay attention closely as an AP, you probably find yourself in a position where you're going, let's say somebody gives you encouragement or validation, you're like, oh my gosh, you might even feel limerence towards that person, or you feel so grateful for just a moment. And then soon you're back to either beating yourself up or you're even like deflecting the compliment. You're like, oh, they don't really mean it. Oh, they probably have an ulterior motive. Nobody really thinks that about me. So you'll either deflect it, disown it, repress it, not receive it, doubt it, question it. And then you're just back to having your bucket empty again. And so you have to build that subconscious comfort zone. It's such an important part, according to integrated attachment theory, of becoming securely attached. It literally means you need to get in there, heal that relationship dynamic in relationship to self. So, after conducting many polls and surveys at the Personal Development School over the past few years, we have found that students come in and 92% of them become dominantly securely attached within 90 days if they focus on 6 crucial areas. These 6 crucial areas have to do with what it takes to become secure according to Gibson integrated attachment theory. And this is to tackle core wounds, learn your needs, learn to emotionally regulate, develop boundaries, communicate better, and update old behavioral coping mechanisms. Now, we have these roadmaps and course tracks laid out for you on the other side of when you join. So everything is simple and in front of you to help you take exactly the steps that you need to master your love life, create thriving relationships, and really see the results in your healing journey so you can let go of old wounds, old baggage, and truly leave it behind. And on top of that, included in this 30% off promotion for life, you also gain access to our daily live events, webinars. I'll be there 3 days a week to answer any questions that you have in your journey. And we have amazing certified integrated attachment theory experts who are there to support you with their daily live events and webinars Monday through Saturday. And this is a great opportunity to connect with like-minded people, to get your questions answered, and receive any extra bonus support that you need. And last but not least, we even have social events on a daily basis. So you can practice through a sharing circle, being a little bit more vulnerable, connecting with other like-minded people. You can practice through communication scripts, having tough conversations, and really modeling that out. And there are so many other supportive events that are there for you on your journey. So I would love for you to join and take this opportunity. I would love for you to be part of this challenge to become securely attached within that 90-day period. And I can't wait to see you on the other side. And number 3, when you communicate your needs. So you've got these first parts. You get your needs, you understand them, you learn to meet them yourself, you build some habits around them. Then you practice communicating them to other people. Okay. And when you communicate, you have to communicate for the solution instead of against the problem. Now, I'm going to give you a couple really clear examples here. There's a huge difference between saying to somebody, you never do the dishes, versus saying, hey, I could really use some support. Can you take a turn doing the dishes on Tuesday, Thursdays? Or, hey, you never want to spend time with me. You never pay attention to me. Versus, hey, I really miss hanging out with you and I would love for us to plan a fun date night this weekend. Why don't we XYZ? right? Why don't we go for dinner? Why don't we go to, whatever place? So here the difference. Because APs very often are attracted to emotionally unavailable people, because it represents the subconscious comfort zone in relationship to yourself. You're emotionally unavailable to yourself, hence why those individuals feel familiar and it's like magnets. Well, because of this, emotionally unavailable people, they don't usually take very well to criticism. It lands really strongly. It really pains them. So they don't hear you when you communicate like that. They just shut down and go into self-protection mode, self-preservation mode through stonewalling or whatever it might be. So you really want to put yourself in a position where you are able to communicate for a solution. You're more likely to get heard, get your needs met instead of against a problem. It's such an important part. Now, if you want to do a deep dive, if you're like, Thais, I don't know my needs, I don't know where to start. This feels like a lot. I have a whole course you can check out for free for 7 days. It's called Discover, Embrace, and Fulfill Your Personal Needs. You can use the link down below. You cancel before day 7, you never get charged anything, but it's an opportunity to check this course out. It's more than enough time to go through the course, and it will help you not only understand your needs deeply, especially in the situations that are triggering you, but give you a really clear roadmap for how to recondition your subconscious comfort zone and communicate so you can have really successful, thriving relationships from the space of your needs. And remember, mastering this is one of the most important parts of all 6 components in order to become securely attached. So, really drilling into this is massive. And of course, the other core things are learning to reprogram core wounds, um, really learning to regulate your emotions or self-soothe, which honestly basically is the result of learning your needs. It has a massive impact on self-soothing really fast. And then communicating, which is also in this part here, is another core piece. And then having boundaries, which again, if you're communicating your needs, that's just the next logical step. And then updating coping mechanisms. So this really covers like 3 of the 6 major parts. It's a massive step forward to becoming secure. And if you want to check out that course, it is listed there down for you below. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I can't wait to see you in tomorrow's video.